Do you find yourself still living in survival mode? It brings me to this scripture of Timothy, 2 Timothy 1:7. Fear is not my ruler. And really, survival mode is basically living in fear, right? I lived in survival mode for a lot of my life. I was married twice, and after my second marriage, God took me on a journey, and I was single for 10 years. 10 years living in survival mode. See, I was abused from my father. I have a father wound. I was abused by him mentally, physically, emotionally, sexually. And after my second divorce, I took the time, I guess, that God put me on to figure myself out a little bit more, figure out who I was, what I wanted, what I was looking for more in a man. But what I came to find out was that I had a real problem trusting men. And where did that come from? Okay, that came from the lack of trust that I had in my father. I was projecting that onto other men. I was bleeding it onto other men. My dad cheated on my mom, so naturally I thought that, all men are going to cheat. My dad, was not very honest about things, so I thought all men were liars. And I had this idea that all men were only out for one thing. And so through my journey of being single for 10 years, I found myself on and off of dating sites a lot. And I'm sure there were some genuinely nice guys on there, but I was so guarded and so afraid of what they were after. Like, I wouldn't even sometimes get them past hi. The word, I'm saying hi to me on a message, they would say hi, hello, and all of a sudden I would just get this idea that, I don't know, that they were just after one thing. They didn't really want to get to know me. They didn't want to get, when you create a dating app site, you put a profile out there, and I always had on my profile something really long, because it told me that if you took the time to read all that you wanted to get to know a little bit about who I was before conversing with me. But a lot of times these guys on there, they would just look at your photo and just message you immediately without knowing who you are, what you're about. And so sometimes I would just get a message from somebody that would just say hi instead of saying something about what I wrote. And this went on for years and years and years. It was very hard for me to meet the right person. But I was living in survival mode for a very long time. And then I met my husband now. And when we first met, his message to me, we met on a dating site, and his message to me was very long. It was very lengthy. And he pointed out things that I had wrote about, which really, really just touched my heart. It made me realize that he took the time to read, to get to know a little something about me. And that meant a lot to me. So that was the first thing I looked at to begin speaking to him. But anyway, we start dating. We end up getting married. And the one thing that he was always pointing out to me was that you're too independent. And I'm like, what? What do you mean independent? He says, well, I try to do things to make your life easier. And you get mad at me a lot because I'm trying to do this or that for you to help you. And I'm like, but I don't want you to help me. I don't need your help. I'm self-sufficient. I can do these things myself. Well, that's just me living in survival mode. And it's not good. It wasn't good for him or I. And I still struggle with that with him and I. I still struggle with him wanting to help me, him wanting to do things for me. Because I feel like he's almost saying, like, you can't do it good enough yourself. But really what he's saying is, no, I just want to help you, And so this all came from my trauma, okay? This came from my trauma, what my first husband didn't know how to help me with, what my second husband didn't know how to help me with. This all came from what my dad and that trauma between him and I, what that spilled onto me and what that made, it projected onto me, so now I'm projecting it onto other relationships in fear that, you know, you're going to hurt me in some way or the same way my dad did. So I was always guarded, always living in survival mode, always just waiting and expecting to be disappointed by somebody, you know? And that's what happens a lot of times when you're living in survival mode. You don't want someone else to help you. You don't want someone else to lift and carry your burden for you. In fact, you're almost so used to people dumping everything on you and dumping their problems on you and you being there for them that it's hard to allow somebody to be there for you. And so I say this because this is also something that God helped me and is still helping me to release. I'm not completely cured from something like this, and it's probably going to take a lifetime for me to really go through this and be cured, I would imagine. I mean, I spent many years living like this. But I'm learning. I'm learning my triggers. I'm learning the things that are going on that's causing conflict between my husband and I. And he's learning. Believe me, he's learning, because he knew nothing of my condition, nothing about the trauma, PTSD, child abuse before meeting me. So we've had a rough go for the first few years, just trying to work with each other and get to know each other, for him to get to know me to get to know him, me to trust him, me to really trust him and see that he's out for my best, not out to get me. Because again, when you live with this kind of trauma, you're thinking that, oh, everybody's out to get you, and that's just not the case. So it's taken a lot of healing, a lot of talking to my husband, a lot of God, the Lord, lifting this to him to help us both in this, and praying about it, because it's not going to go away overnight. It's something that you have to stay in prayer about constantly. And it is something that I'm still working on. It is something that I'm probably going to have to work on daily. Allowing somebody to help me and lift that burden off of me, instead of me thinking that I need to do it all myself. So if you're living in survival mode too, believe me, I'm with you. But I'm going to constantly urge you to speak your truth. Speak it. Talk about it. Lift it up to God. Forgive. Remember, speaking your truth and forgiveness is how you start the healing journey. So if you're ready to begin the healing journey, if you haven't already, I'm going to urge you to speak up, lift it up to the Lord, and let him help you through this. He's helping me. I'm still going through the motions. I'm not cured. I'm still going through the healing. I'm just helping you to see my journey so that you can see that you can begin your healing too. God bless you.